This is the new Dell XPS 17, and honestly, I could see myself swapping over to it. I'll explain why in this review. The XPS 17 is available with a few different specs. I've got the more mid-range option here. The 17-inch screen is what's so attractive to me. Seriously, just look at it. There's basically no bezel at all. It's got a 16:10 aspect ratio, so there's no chin at all down the bottom. Basically, you're just looking at full screen. There's even almost no bezels, they're very thin. Mine is 1920 by 1200 resolution with decent color gamut. Almost 600 nits of brightness, but the 4K touchscreen option has better colors and is what I would personally pick for content creation. Despite the thinner bezels, the 720p camera is found above the top in the center, and it's got Windows Hello support too. Now, thin screen bezels mean that the overall footprint of the device isn't that big. For a 17-inch laptop, it's actually closer to many 15-inch options out there. It's only a little smaller than my own personal 15-inch laptop. The depth is actually a little smaller, the height's just a little thicker, but the width is about 2 centimeters more than some of those other 15-inch options. But due to that extra width, we do get front-facing speakers on the sides. And those speakers sound excellent. The two tweeters and subwoofers sound well above average with some bass and a clear at louder volumes. The keyboard was alright to use. It's got white backlighting which can be adjusted between 2 levels or turned off, and it lights up all keys and secondary key functions. There's a fingerprint scanner in the unmarked power button on the top right, which was fast and accurate. The precision touchpad is huge and worked very well. Mine wasn't loose at all as others have reported in the XPS 15. And despite being so big, when typing, even if I intentionally touched the sides, it didn't interrupt the typing. So palm rejection is looking good. The build quality of this thing feels excellent. It's made of solid aluminium/aluminum based on where you're from, and the interior palm rest has a carbon fiber composite, similar to other XPS models out there. Chassis flex is on the lower side too. It feels very solid. Now, I'm not sure if it's just me, but I did have some difficulty opening the lid. There's no grooves or anything on the front to get your fingers into, so it's a bit harder to just open it. Like, I don't know. I feel like it shouldn't be this difficult. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. Let me know if I'm doing something wrong. But when you do open it, the laptop does power on automatically, which I think is a pretty nice feature to have, and makes sense. If you're opening the lid, chances are you want the laptop on, but you can turn that off in the BIOS if you prefer. Sometimes I can get it first go, but it's a bit hit or miss and still feels pretty awkward. The port selection is pretty interesting. The left has 2 Type-C Thunderbolt 3 ports, the right has 2 more for 4 in total, plus a SD card slot and 3.5mm audio combo jack. There's no USB Type-A built in, but it does come with a Type-C to Type-A and HDMI adapter. Otherwise, you can use all 4 Type-C ports to charge or as display outputs. Getting the bottom panel off was a little difficult, but once inside we've got 2 M.2 storage slots, dual channel memory, vapor chamber cooler at the back, and large 97 watt-hour battery down the front. Wi-Fi 6 is soldered to the board on the right and isn't user upgradable. That large battery does give it great battery life, but there was a battery drain issue that I noted while testing. So when I was testing thermals with a CPU and GPU stress test at the same time, it was perfectly fine. But if I go into Intel XTU and boost the power limit to get some extra performance, I did lose about 12% of the battery while being plugged in and charging. With these specs, I didn't actually have any problems during normal use. It was only if I specifically tweaked the power limit to get more performance. Now, Notebook Check have actually noted in their 2060 model that they have far more battery drain just gaming and doing other tasks, so it could be more of an issue if you get the higher spec models. This seems to be because the XPS 17 comes with a 130 watt power brick. I think normally the Type-C limit is 100 watts, but they're doing something special there to get the extra power. But yeah, under heavy loads with higher specs, there may be some battery drain. I'll leave a link to that article in the description. While of course not a gaming laptop, with the hardware inside, it should be possible to get some gaming done. Just not with the entry-level model, as that doesn't have discrete graphics. It doesn't get too hot due to power limitations. As mentioned, you can use Intel XTU if you're a bit of an enthusiast and want to get more performance out of it. But if you're just sticking to the 4 built-in profiles, it won't get too hot. The fans also weren't quite as loud as many other laptops. But yeah, there is a bit of customization available with those 4 different modes. So the build quality of the XPS 17 is impressive, and the screen is just amazing. Seriously, it just looks so good. If I can... Hang on. Alright, wasn't too bad that time. Didn't take too long. It's nice that it turns on when you open the screen. I think that's a pretty cool feature. And yeah, seriously, just no bezel. I mean, Sure, the bezel itself isn't that big of a deal, but thinner bezel just means the overall footprint of the machine is smaller too, so more portable and a bit closer to what you'd see in some 15-inch laptops. If I was getting it for content creation, I'd probably get the 4K panel as it has better color gamut. But yeah, before this, I was pretty much anti 17-inch laptop, and this has kind of turned things around. All of these features do not come cheap though. This is a more premium laptop. If you're after something a bit more budget friendly from Dell, check out my review on the G5 gaming laptop. It's definitely not perfect, I mean nothing is, but for the price, it's got some good performance on offer. Otherwise, if you're new to the channel, then don't forget to subscribe.